Listen to part of a discussion in a criminology class. The people are talking about the trade in stolen art objects.
Today I want to discuss with you the problem of theft of cultural antiquities and art. Illicit trafficking in cultural property has become a massive criminal activity, which today ranks in economic terms alongside illegal trading in weapons and drugs. No part of the world is immune from this problem. Works of art are stolen from museums and looted from historic and religious buildings everywhere, eventually finding their way to wealthy buyers. Frequently, smaller stone or wooden carvings are simply cut or chopped away from a wall or base, thus destroying the integrity of the work that had contained them. In some regions of the world, such activities have seriously depleted the stock of national treasures. What kinds of measures do you think are most appropriate for dealing with this situation? Yes, Tom.
Well, electronic surveillance of exhibitions and historical monuments might help.
Well, yes, no doubt that would act as a deterrent. But that's not always an affordable or practical option, especially since many cultural objects are located in remote places.
Isn't there a movement afoot to get owners to make thorough catalogs of their cultural possessions?
Yes, indeed, Mary. Remember that one of the chief problems in policing this kind of crime is that very often the original owners, whether governments, museums, or private collectors, cannot furnish an accurate description of their stolen property, and therefore cannot prove their ownership. Several organizations concerned with combating this illegal trade are now stressing the importance of owners making accurate inventories. These inventories should include relevant data about the object, such as date of fabrication, kind of material, shape, size, the presence of identifying markings, etc. Of course, they should also include detailed photographic illustrations.
Would inventories in themselves prevent this trade? Information like this can only be really useful if it's made widely available.
You're absolutely right, Tom. In fact, the development of electronic networks allows the International Police Organization to use inventories to identify objects and disseminate information about them to all of its offices worldwide. This information can also be used by customs agencies, the insurance industry, and cultural heritage organizations. Can you think of any other measures that might help stem this illegal trade?
Well, it seems that many people unwittingly purchase artifacts without being aware of their historical or cultural value, or of the possibility that the object may have been looted. Perhaps travelers should be alerted to this danger. This might go some way to reduce the trade.
What are the people discussing? Why does the professor mention the trade in weapons and drugs? What does the professor say about electronic surveillance? For which of the following pieces would the use of electronic surveillance be impractical? Which problem in policing the trade in national treasures was discussed? Listen to a talk given in a physical education class. The professor is talking about an intensive rock climbing workshop.
Well, we've been rock climbing together now on several occasions, and I feel everyone has made excellent progress. I thought you might be interested in hearing about a special weekend climbing workshop that will be given at the State Park Climbing Center next month. The instructors will include Jim Brown, who is one of the most experienced rock climbers in the world today. I'm sure that participants in the course will gain a great deal of confidence and will greatly refine their techniques. There will be room for only 20 participants, so everyone will be given close attention. The cost for the weekend, including accommodations and food, is $300. There will be a small extra charge for equipment for those participants who don't have their own. Also, a $30 non-refundable deposit is required by the end of next week, and the balance should be paid by July 20th. I do urge everyone here to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. If you want to register, I'll give you an application form. After our climb this morning, return the form and deposit to my office as soon as possible.
Who is Jim Brown? How can students register for the workshop? What does the $300 fee not include? Why does the speaker encourage the students to take the workshop? How long is the workshop?
Good morning, everyone. Now in today's lesson, I'd like to talk about population growth and in particular fertility rate. Now, can anyone here define fertility rate?
Is it the number of births in a population measured per 1,000 people per year?
No, that's what we call the birth rate, the number of children born in a year per 1,000 people. No, the fertility rate is the average number of children born per woman in her lifetime, that is, if she lives beyond her childbearing years. Now, do you think the British fertility level is higher or lower than it was, say, 20 years ago?
I think it's lower because these days women are far more focused on their careers than they used to be.
Well, that point is certainly true, but actually, fertility levels in Britain are relatively high at the moment. In 2008, it was 1.96. That means that on average, each woman gives birth to 1.96 children, and in 2009, it was only slightly lower at 1.94. The last time fertility rates were this high was back in 1973. In the UK currently, the highest rate of fertility is in Northern Ireland, where the rate is 2.04, and the lowest is in Scotland, where the rate is just 1.77.
I don't understand. How come fertility rate is going up? Women are just as career-driven these days as they were 30 years ago.
Well, the reason is that during the 1990s, women really started to delay having families, and that was the reason for the decrease in birth rate then. Now those women are in their 30s and early 40s, and they are starting to have families. So that's why the birth rate is going up.
Oh, I see. So it's not actually as if people are actively choosing to have more children than they used to.
Yes, that's right, Charlene. The number of children per family is continuing to fall. Women who are currently in their 70s had an average of 2.4 children. Those in their 60s had 2.2, those in their 50s had 2.0, and the current figure is 1.9. Actually, this figure isn't due to more families choosing to have only one child, although that certainly is occurring. It's mainly because of the increasing number of women who have no children at all. This figure was 1 in 10 among the age group who are now 65, but now 1 in 4 women in their mid-40s are childless.
I heard that the fertility rate in Europe is like really low, 1.3 or something.
That's right, Charlene, it is. It's far below the replacement level. Can you tell me what replacement level means? No? It's the number of births you need to keep the population constant.
Yes, I heard that in France they're trying to get people to have more children. They even give out gold medals if you have 8.
That's right. So we've already mentioned that women are waiting before having children because of their careers. Why else is fertility rate generally decreasing?
I think they have fewer children because they're so expensive. I mean, I heard one report that said it costs £200,000 a year to raise a child here. But I find that difficult to believe. People's standard of living is far higher now than it used to be 100 years ago when families had 8 or 9 kids.
That's very true, but these days people's expectations tend to be higher. Parents want their children to have the best opportunities in life, so they're prepared to pay to develop their children's talents.
Yes, I heard that in China, where they're easing off some of the rules of the one-child policy and allowing some couples to have 2, many parents are still choosing to have 1. They say it's just too expensive. But, I reckon that with all this parental micromanagement that's going on these days, parents only have the time to manage 1 or 2 children.
That's a good point. So now I'd like to look at some different organizations and examine what they believe about the current population.